Well, in case you don't know, home affordability, the ability for you to actually afford a home, is highly dependent on everything that's going on in the economy, including your personal debt levels, what your monthly payments are, and we need to talk about what's happening in the global US market when it comes to people's debt levels. It surely seems that Americans' relentless spending on everything and anything that they can find their hands on is starting to catch up with them, because the national level of debt that is happening right now, especially consumer debt, that would be anything like credit cards or buy now, pay later types of situations, is so out of control and it's reaching record highs. But that's actually not what has the Fed really concerned. What everyone is concerned about is how many people are starting to default. And the defaults aren't just on revolving credit consumer spending like credit cards, but it's also on car loans, rent payments, and even mortgages. You see, as these delinquency rates on all of these loans start increasing and gaining traction, what's actually happening is a big leading indicator to all hell breaking loose. Things getting so much worse, because the first things that people stop paying is the useless, unnecessary bills, like credit cards, for example. Those are the first things people are going to stop paying. Then eventually their car payments, and then eventually their mortgages. And by the way, today I'm walking at the celery fields in Sarasota, Florida, just east of the interstate off of Palmer. And my name is Maciek Zaremba. I'm a real estate agent in Sarasota, Florida. If you have any questions, reach out to me. All my info is below. Now, in the fourth quarter, the credit card total balances with all Americans rose by $143 billion. Now, I did some quick math on this. I just wanted to check. How much is that per person? If we have 330 million Americans, which quite frankly, I'm not sure how many we have, it ends up being over $443 per person. Every single person in the entire nation increased their balance on average by that much. But the delinquency rate is actually what's more important. So let's quickly talk about this, especially if you're thinking about buying a home. If you are going to be defaulting or being delinquent on any kind of loan, the probability of you getting a loan for a home is extremely low, if not completely zero. And the main reason is because they don't want to see any lates on your credit history. But who is getting hit the hardest with all of these problems, with the delinquency rates, with increasing the amount of credit lines that you're using? Well, unfortunately, is the lower income folks, the ones that need the most help. So what is happening is that they're turning to drastic measures. They're not eating out anymore, which quite frankly, if you're a low income, you probably can't afford to eat out anyway, but that's a different conversation. They have delinquencies on their credit card debt, and quite frankly, that's a recipe for never being able to buy a house. Well, at least not for the next 3-4 years, because when you go purchase a property, they don't want to see any late payments. The bank doesn't want to lend to someone who's already accepted on being late on some sort of important debt. So now if you're considering purchasing a home and not renting anymore, regardless whether you're low income or middle class or wealthy, it doesn't matter. What you have to keep in mind is that you should be paying down as much of your debt as possible. You don't want to be in a position where the debt starts going out of control, because you see, the leading indicator to an economy starting to be into trouble is people spend less money. But right now, we're not there. We're not in a position right now in the US where people are not spending as much. They're actually spending a lot of money. So it's showing that the economy is going through some really good times. You see, all signs are pointing to the GDP growing right now, but it's going to take a quick turn. And let me tell you why that's going to happen. The first problem is that as people's delinquency rates increase, the credit limits that the creditors give them goes down. So let me just give you a quick example. Let's just say you have 5 credit cards at $4,000 each, total of $20,000 of available credit, and you start falling behind on one of those credit cards. Well, what's going to happen really quickly is your credit score is going to go down as soon as you have one 30-day late. Then you have 2 30-day lates, which is a 60-day late, obviously, and you're quickly going down the rabbit hole of bad credit. Well, unfortunately, not only are your credit cards going to cut you off, or they're going to reduce your available spending spending limit significantly, but also the expenses for life, such as car insurance, is going to go up. Now, your mortgage can't fluctuate based on your current credit score, but your car insurance can, and other payments that you make can. And even the credit cards that stay open and keep you on as a client, those rates skyrocket to the maximum allowable limit by law. And as we're seeing right now in the US economy, what's happening is people are starting to have delinquencies at a level that we haven't had since pre-pandemic. Now, that means that we are really in for trouble, because this is the first indicator of people not being able to afford to buy homes and not being able to afford to buy products, which means the GDP goes down, which means that the economy starts showing signs of weakening or maybe weakness. And then what happens is the Fed steps in and makes some changes. First steps they take is tightening the monetary supply. If you don't know what that means, it's simple. They basically cut how much money they're going to be lending out to people and to companies. And those companies are, for example, credit card companies and mortgage lenders and a whole bunch of other things. So what they do is they cut back, and as the federal government cuts back, then you as a consumer suffers, because even though you might be okay and not late on your payments, well, the whole economy is slowing down and they want to tighten the money supply, so they're just going to put a stop to you being able to borrow more money by putting more things on credit. Now, in this segment of the video, we're going to be talking about some actionable steps you can take so that you don't fall prey to this problem, this escalating problem of delinquencies. Now, first and foremost, it's obvious. First of all, you should be running on a cash basis. All that means is stop using your credit cards. As we know that the economy is going to be slowing down and possibly there might be some job losses, you don't want to be in a position where you're running up those credit card bills even when you have cash to pay them down. So take every step you can to just stop using those credit cards. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to make a plan of action. That means extreme budgeting. Now, I know it's simple, it's really easy to set, hard to do, and that's fine, right? But do it. Just take the few moments and write down your budget. Do it with your partner, with your husband, with your wife, whoever it is that you do that with. But you need to be on the same page with your partner so that both people are on the same page when it comes to how money is going to be spent, and make it a priority to pay off your debts, okay? And first and foremost is the highest interest rate debt that you have. Last should be the long-term debt that you have, such as a mortgage or maybe investment property mortgages. Now, if you found yourself in a position where you have too much debt and even the monthly payments are too hard, what I recommend is you strategically figure out what can you do to not only cut back, but earn more as well. Once again, I know easier said than done, but here's the problem. What was easy was spending the money that wasn't yours. That's credit card money. That was really easy. And the hard part is digging yourself out of that hole. Trust me, I know. I've been there many times. I know how hard it is when everything slows down and you're making less money. So now you have to make a plan of action. You have to make a budget, and you have to find someone who's going to keep you accountable. Better yet, find a little group. Find some other people, maybe 3 or 4 other couples who have committed to following a plan and keeping each other accountable every single week, where you lay out your finances and you show them, oh boy, this week I screwed up, or oh boy, this week I really got to catch up. $50, $25, $350, whatever it is. Take every step you can to catch up, because you can get into a position that starts looking really bad for you. Let me give you a quick example. If you have, let's just say $20,000 of available credit card limits, right? But you're only using, let's just say $3,000. That is a 15% credit usability ratio, right? You're only using 15% of the credit that they've given you. But then let's just say the economy starts slowing down, money tightening starts happening, and they just cut your available balance from $20,000 to $5,000. Well, now that same $3,000 ends up being what, 60% utilization ratio. And when you have anything more than a 50% credit card utilization ratio, which is actually a revolving credit utilization ratio, then your credit score gets hit in the face with a baseball bat, and you don't want to be in that position. And you didn't change anything. You didn't take on more credit. You didn't take on more credit cards. You didn't do anything wrong, you're on time with your payments, but your credit score is going to go down the deep end because they changed some policies. And right now we are getting the precursors to that happening. The default rates are increasing, and that is the first step that happens. The next step after that are job losses. Why would job losses be next? Easy, because after people have lost a whole bunch of money on their delinquencies and cannot spend anymore on the revolving credit cards they got, well, guess what they do? They can't spend. So they can't buy that next iPhone. They can't buy the next headphones. They can't buy the clothes, the same food. They can't buy as much. So naturally, a tightening happens in the economy. Let's just say 20% of people end up being delinquent on their credit cards. Well, guess what? They're not going to be buying a car because they have bad credit. They're not going to be buying stuff on credit cards because their cards got shut down and they don't have any more money to borrow. So after that, it's simple. Companies say, uh-oh, we're making less money. We need to cut jobs. We need to downsize, whatever. They just cut back. After they start cutting back, those reports come out and the job growth ends up being a negative job growth. I don't know why they don't call it something else, like job losses. But anyway, we have negative job growth numbers, and then we are officially in a recession. But let me finish off with this one thing that's super important, and that would be the inverted yield curve. Now listen, I'm by no means an expert on this, but there are a few things that I know. First of all, it happened November 2022, and what this curve indicates is a recession. 100% of the time, it has predicted a recession since 1955, okay? So are we in for a recession? Well, statistically speaking, we are 100% overdue for a recession. 100%, not 99, okay? It has been 100% accurate since 1955. We are in 2024. That's a very long time to start being wrong now. Now, in the past, this inverted yield curve has predicted it. However, sometimes it takes up to 28 months. Right now, what are we? 18 months in? So we're around the corner for a recession. And I don't know about you, but it surely feels like it for me. Taking a step back and just looking at how people are spending, how people are cutting back. I talk to people all the time, whether it's at church, my family, sphere of influence, people I know, clients that I prospect, whatever it is, people are feeling the crunch. Nobody is feeling super confident about how the economy is going. Whether you're managing an Airbnb, which I have, and my Airbnb is not performing as well as it did before, or whether you have annual rentals, which by the way, rent prices are coming down almost nationwide, definitely in Florida because things got way out of control there, or should I say here. But the problem with the federal government is that they hate admitting when we're in a recession. In fact, by the time that they announce it, it's already flipped. It's no longer a recession anymore. If you look at the historical chart of when the Fed has announced that we are officially in a recession, and then you look at the data after that, what you see is that was actually like in a recession way before then. And it surely feels like we're in a recession. One of the things we're not getting are bad jobs reports. But like I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, that's just around the corner. I am pretty sure that we're gonna have some really bad jobs reports and interest rates are gonna continue to go up. Now, I know the Fed has said that we're not going to keep them going up, but we're gonna use them as a strategic tool. Cool, all right. They said they're gonna have some rate cuts this year. Cool, it ain't happening. I don't see it happening. And unfortunately, I don't think you probably do either. So if you do see it happening, please tell me why.